This is a love hotel, and it's big business. Would you stay in a love hotel? Love hotel? Would you stay?
Depends on how much.
So big, in fact, that here in South Korea, it has just born the country's latest billion-dollar startup, online budget hotel bookings platform Yeonja, which means hey, let's play in Korean. It is South Korea's 8th unicorn and has made a superstar of its once impoverished founder. I've travelled to Seoul to meet Yeonja's CEO, Jong-yoon Kim, to find out how he and founder Soo-jin Lee got the country hot for love hotels. South Korea's relationship with the amorous accommodation hasn't always been one of affection. Understanding its new allure requires going back to its sordid roots. Love hotels are a type of short-term, pay-per-hour accommodation. They originate in Japan, where for centuries they've been providing couples a discreet place for intimacy. But in the late 1960s, the underground industry gained prominence with the launch of the first eponymous love hotel in Osaka. Adorned with a rotating neon sign and offering guests hourly rates for a rest, the accommodation tapped into society's growing sexual liberalisation and paved the way for a new wave of pay-per-hour love hotels, each more exotic and erotic than the last.
Love hotels, we called it motel in South Korea. Motel used to be a well-known place for young couples to spend their time privately.
The industry's rise coincided with a widespread tightening of prostitution laws in Asia. That trend didn't go unnoticed and quickly spawned negative associations of love hotels as breeding grounds for illicit activities and extramarital affairs. But that didn't stop their international expansion. Today, few countries have been left untouched by the craze. The hotel's ubiquity even scored them an iconic emoji in 2015. Back here in South Korea, love hotels rose to prominence in the late 1980s with the Seoul Olympic Games. Their seedy associations have long been a source of embarrassment, but in 2005, one man sought to change that. For Yeonja founder Soo-jin Lee, love hotels had always been a source of sanctuary. Orphaned at a young age, Lee started as a janitor at a love hotel when he was 23. It offered a place to stay and a steady wage. So when an anti-prostitution law passed in 2004 threatened to kill the industry, he saw an opportunity.
I think such kind of the experience is very helpful to understand the nature of the industry.
The discreet accommodations traditionally relied on walk-in customers. So Lee started by creating an online advertising platform to attract new guests. But it was with the launch of love hotel booking site Yeonja in 2007 that the business really began to take off.
Yeonja, especially Soo-jin Lee, they are thinking, what's the pain point? Nobody understand or nobody find out.
Lee also offered renovation services under the Yeonja franchise, which helped love hotels clean up their acts and target new customer bases. Chief among those were two major segments: young couples and budget travellers seeking short-term accommodation.
In terms of the younger generation, we try to make kind of the playground for everything. From many surveys, the quality of life or quality of the happiness is very low because the millennials or many generations thought that and felt that they do not enjoy enough activities. So we try to make people go out more frequently.
In South Korea, it's typical for young people to live with their parents until marriage. With rising living costs and a slumping marriage rate, that phenomenon has been exacerbated. Estimates suggest 57% of young South Koreans live at home well into adulthood, making love hotels an appealing escape for couples wanting to get away from the prying eyes of parents. Meanwhile, growing travel appetite has boosted demand for new types of accommodation. In South Korea, online travel sales have nearly doubled in the past 5 years, and the country now represents one of Asia's largest tourism markets.
Travel industry is really growing fast in South Korea. It's because South Korean consumers' attitude has been significantly changing as millennials put their priority on their working life balance. In addition, the government limits the maximum working hours to 52 hours per week from last year. This kind of government activity also encourages travel industries.
Those trends led Yeonja to expand into its own line of regular and luxury hotels as well. It has recorded an annual growth rate of more than 70% in the past 5 years. The platform, which makes its money off of commission, has 32 million downloads and 3 million monthly active users. It now hosts more than 20,000 partner accommodations across South Korea. That's almost half of the country's some 46,000 registered inns and guest houses, whose annual revenues exceed $3.6 billion.
The hotel is one of the items, but we are pursuing to realize total package for the users. So Yanuja is providing restaurant and activity, leisure ticket, transportation, and the others.
That expansion has proven appealing for investors too. In June 2019, a $180 million funding round pushed the company to a valuation of $1 billion, making it the latest travel tech unicorn to join the likes of Klook, Airbnb, and Oyo.
I think the reason why we can be a unicorn because Yanuja is #1 OTA in Korea. But it's just the beginning, I think. So we are trying to be a #1 globally.
Now Yanuja wants to tap into more growing markets. The business has ventured into leisure bookings and now offers its renovation services to other commercial properties, ranging from bookstores to healthcare centres. It has also developed its own hotel management software to sell to partners and fuel its growth plans across Asia Pacific.
We'd like to be a global #1 solution provider for the hotel and the other suppliers.
But in its mission to reinvent the Love Hotel, there's still one final goal Yanuja has its heart set on: an initial public offering. That public accolade, it says, would mark the full transformation of an industry once shrouded in secrecy.
Don't know what's the best timing because we need to consider the market situation extra, but we need to be ready anytime for IPO.